folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. So today I thought I'd talk about one of my big influences, Mr. Robben Ford, and kind of his approach to the blues. Today I'm going to kind of focus on the soloing side of things, because that seems to be what people enjoy the most. If I do videos on rhythm guitar, they seem to do not nearly as well, so I guess you vote with your eyes. So, in essence, I'm going to stick to the soloing side of what he does. So that was a little bit of a backing track that's in the style of Talk to Your Daughter, which is what I'm going to focus on today. One of my favourite Robben Ford tracks. It was a cover. I think it was a Muddy Waters tune or someone like that, that Robben covered, I believe. So anyway, Talk to Your Daughter. Blues in G, it's got some interesting things. It kind of goes to the 4 chord at one point, but essentially it's a 12 bar, so we'll just start there. So I've talked about it quite a bit already, but what I call the Robben Ford scale is a good place to start. To minor pentatonic, but we add the 6th in instead. That note. In this case, in the key of G, it would be an E note or the 6th. If you look at the opening line of Talk to Your Daughter, that first lick that he plays, right, it's going to the 6th instead of. It's the opening phrase that he plays before the vocal comes in, right? But right from the beginning, it's setting up that. Right, that's a good one. So start with that, Robben Ford pentatonic. I've done videos about it before, so check back on those and kind of have a look to take that further. So the next one that Robben does quite a bit too is if we're playing a 12 bar blues and we're in the key of G, first chord would be G, for 4 bars, and then in the 5th bar we move to the 4 chord, the C7 chord. So one thing that he does quite a bit is he'll go G7 for the first bar, G7 for the next bar, G7 for the 3rd bar, and in the 4th bar he kind of implies this flat 9 altered sound going to there. And what he does is he plays the half whole diminished. So in the key of G it would be G to A flat, it's a semitone, so half step and then a whole step. And then half. Again, I've already done a video on half whole, so check back on that if you want to take this further. But I've noticed there's something, if we play it in a position, we would get this. I know I'm running over these quickly, but I've got a lot to get through today, and also you can slow this down and you can repeat and go over sections. So that's the sort of sound we're going and we need to resolve when we get to the C7. Now I find like running that scale not particularly useful. I mean, do it by all means, but the more useful thing is to kind of pick out a part of it that you're more likely to use. So let's go to the top 4 strings. That to me is more useful just to know that much, right? Because it's more like where I'm going to solo than I'm going to know if I'm playing down low. So we use that in the 4th bar to get us into the 4 chord. So for an example, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Right? Give that a try. Another one that he does with the half whole diminished is on the 5 chord. So we have a 5 chord, like at the turnaround to the top of the form, going back to G. He'll play the half whole diminished as well, but in the key of D. Now I don't find that shape particularly useful either, because to me it's like it's so detached from where I was when I was playing down here. A more useful way of thinking about it, if we think of half whole diminished as being symmetrical, key of D would also be the key of B, would also be the key of A flat. So I think A flat to G is actually much easier to see. And again, if we take that shape we did a minute ago, where we just the top 4 strings, but move it up to A flat, right? That's super useful. We have to resolve when we get to the G chord, so we go. Right, so I think A flat, half old diminished, moving to the G on the 5 chord, and that works really well. And that's something that I hear Robin doing. Like, it's a very sophisticated way of playing. Tension and release is really what it is, but the sophisticated part of it, and it is that it's not obvious that that's what he's doing. It's obvious once you know what the device is, but when you don't know what the device is, you hear it just as kind of a flow of a melodic idea. And once you analyze it and you go, oh, that's what that is, you figure out that it's half old diminished. Another thing that Robin does a lot is mixing major and minor. So if we have major pentatonic, and then we have minor pentatonic, he'll mix those two quite a bit. So that intro lick at the beginning of Talk to Your Daughter, the intro phrase before the vocal comes in, there's a lot you can glean from that if you really want to. Right? Into the major third. Right? And he often does stuff like that where it'll be, you know, maybe bend between the minor and the major. So mix major and mix minor together over dominant chords is a really good way of using it. And when I say minor, it's not really minor, it's really like a sharp 9 sound. It's this kind of tonality. Like a chord that has both the major third and the minor third being the sharp 9. So yeah, it's minor pentatonic, but it's really minor pentatonic functioning as a dom over a dominant chord. Another thing that a lot of people seem to miss about Robben Ford's playing is his touch. When I hear Robin play, I don't hear a heavy-handed approach. It's like if I have a sound like this, if I play light, it actually cleans up when I play lightly. And I actually think his bass playing, in terms of where he's coming from, his bass level, is actually quite softer than a lot of other players, which is partly why he gets that rich tone, I think. Now, he will dig in. Like, if he goes up to the higher notes, you know, if it's kind of building up to the high point of the solo, he will kind of attack it when it's needed, but that's not his bass line, right? His bass line is a soft kind of approach, right? And you hear him playing. I was listening to this thing of him playing the other day, and he's playing a Strat, and it's like the Strats, and him playing the Strat, and he was picking so lightly. It was beautiful, really beautiful tone. So I would say work on getting your picking lighter if you want to get that tone. That's part of it. So speaking of that tone, the Talk to Your Daughter, when people talk about the Robben Ford tone, there's so many different things. If you like if you look at like Talk to Your Daughter, the tone he uses on that is very different from, say, something like Help the Poor. So to me, it's, which is different again to Revelation or any of those other things that he's done. So to me, one of the things, when I think of the Robben Ford tone, I think of that Talk to Your Daughter tone. You know, the thick, what we'd call the Dumble tone, you know, thick mid-range, bit of drive. So you can get there in lots of different ways. You don't have to have a Dumble amp to do it. An easy way to do it, get a Zen drive or some kind of mid-heavy pedal and run it through a Fender amp, and you're probably mostly there, because that's what Robin did when he came to New Zealand. He had one of these Zen drives, and he had a small little board when he was here, and he used a Hot Rod Deluxe, one of those Fender Hot Rod Deluxes, the Hot Rod, the new ones, and they're not particularly great amps, but with this in it sounded killer. And he had a Les Paul, it was an old 57 I think, and he'd put humbuckers in it. So yeah, I would say the sound, to get the sound, you want some kind of mid-range heavy, not a tube screamer pedal though, because tube screamer pedals kind of roll off the bottom end. You still want bottom end. The sound is pretty thick in the bottom end. So a Zen drive or a Dude pedal, Dude's my favorite, or a bunch of them. You want to be on the bridge pickup. I think Robin plays bridge pickup 90% of the time, even clean. Like a very clean thing like that. I've heard him doing heaps of things playing clean, even with the bridge pickup. So he very rarely uses the neck pickup, from what I've observed. I'd say it's 90% bridge pickup and 10% neck pickup. So bridge pickup, a humbucker guitar, a Zen drive into some kind of Fender amp. You could do that virtually in your modeler if you have one, and you'll be in the ballpark, right? And with that light picking. and really focus in on the phrasing, because one of the things that he does beautifully is it sounds like someone's singing, right? He'll play a phrase and then leave a little bit of breath, and then play another phrase and leave a little bit of breath, and then another phrase and leave a little bit of breath. Like he's very intentional about his shaping of things, and I think that makes a big difference in how he works. He also targets chord tones, so that's again coming from the jazz approach, right? Of when we get to the next chord, we want to hit the chords to do with it. Interesting, I remember seeing an interview of Robben Ford, and he was talking about how he felt the guitar suited the blues more so than jazz. He was saying something along the lines of, when he thinks of a great jazz quartet, he thinks of drums, bass, piano, and some kind of horn. Right? Guitar was a later addition to that in terms of the sound, right? Now, guitar and jazz is very well established, but at least this was how he was talking about it in the interview. Whereas in blues, the instrument of the blues is the guitar, and so that's kind of why he went more down that way. But definitely a very strong jazz background. I mean, he played with Miles Davis. You're not going to play with Miles if you don't know how to play chord changes and you don't know some jazz vocabulary, which he really does. One thing I would talk about, now nobody seems to talk about Robben Ford's rhythm guitar playing. It's a real shame because he is such a good rhythm guitar player. I'm pretty sure he played rhythm guitar on a few Chris Kane albums because he's a big Chris Kane fan, as we all are. So you might want to hunt those out, but one of the things that kills me the most about his playing is his rhythm guitar playing. Now, I'm not focusing on that today because I know the video won't do as well, and people have voted by their viewing, by not watching the rhythm stuff as much as the soloing stuff. So I thought today I'd focus on the lead playing, but we will get to the rhythm thing. But he's a killer rhythm player, and I think for me that's what informs his lead playing. When I hear him play, it's like the lead playing, his rhythm is beautiful. It's like he's right in the pocket, right exactly where it is. And I think that's what makes his lead playing really work so well, is his sense of rhythm. So I'd implore you to go and check out his rhythm guitar playing because it'll only make your lead playing better. Right, so I hope that's been useful. That's kind of just a little bit of a look at Robben Ford's blues playing. One of my favorites. And one very specific kind of area of his lead playing on playing the blues, which was Talk to Your Daughter. I'd really like to do a more in-depth look at Robben Ford's playing. I plan to do that at some point where we can go kind of into some of the other things that he does, because it's not one-dimensional. Do you know what I mean? But for now, the limits of this is that. So if you found this useful, please subscribe and please like. It's really helpful if you do. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you being here to watch. It's awesome. I post every day on YouTube, and it's all kinds of stuff, from the blues to jazz to funk to soul, all the music that I play as a session musician here in Wellington, New Zealand, and recording artist. I've done albums, so there's no channel sponsors, but if you want to listen to my album, that would be appreciated. It's on Bandcamp. You can get it for free. Go and check it out. It's the main thing. Thanks very much. Cheers.